Josh, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you, Tom?
Good, good. Hey guys, I'm joined with Josh Hostetler. He's the owner of Hostetler Family Homes here in Hartville. He was so kind to join us this morning. So let's get started. I always like to kind of put people in the hot seat, do some rapid fire questions here to start, just to kind of get comfortable. Tacos or pizza, Josh?
Tacos or pizza? That's an interesting question. You talking Taco Bell versus frozen pizza, or
Doesn't matter. I'm talking.
yeah,
I'm talking like holistically speaking. Tacos or
holistically?
pizza, and
You
that's
know,
broad.
it is. It's broad, and I'm going to tell you, I can't choose, but I will throw out maybe my favorites of each, if that's okay.
Sure, go for
So
it.
yeah, I live in the Portage Lakes area. There is this delicious pizza at a restaurant called Lala's on the lakes. It's
I've
Biggie
heard of
Piggy
it.
Pizza. It is
Okay.
fig jam with bacon and sriracha. Anyways, you should check it out. Um,
Weird, but sounds really good. Yeah.
yeah. And then fish tacos. I love fish tacos. And in
Same.
Portage Lakes, there's a waterfront restaurant called the Blue Iguana. Great fish tacos. So there, I plugged my
Yep.
community.
Been there. Nice. I'm sure they appreciate it.
Yeah.
Do you have your own Netflix account, or do you use somebody else's?
I do have my own. However, my kids have taken over it and set up their own profiles for everybody in the family, including my dog.
So you got to go through that whole huge welcome screen to even get to your titles. Got
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fun. Got kids at home too, so yeah, there's Disney stuff all over the place. The funny thing is seeing all the characters that they choose for their faces and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So Josh is a good name, but if you had to change your first name, what would you change it to?
Yeah.
I'll give you mine. I just thought of it. It's Blade. That just sounds cool. I don't know.
When I was a kid, I always thought the name Luke or Lucas was cool, but that's what we named my son, so I couldn't. Maybe he'd be Lucas the second. I don't know. That would work.
Luke too. Luke Deuce. Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Favorite movie of all time?
I really haven't had much time for movies in the past decade. I
Kids
did.
will do that to you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kids and work.
hmm I always liked Fight Club. That was a cool movie. So we'll go
That
with
is a
that.
cool movie.
Yeah.
All right. Fight Club. Good choice. If you could go anywhere on vacation, where would you go?
I would love to visit Australia, to be honest with you. Go to the land down under, go over on the East Coast and check out Sydney and Melbourne.
Melbourne. Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
Last impulse buy.
um, we celebrated my daughter's birthday this past weekend, and I was wasting some time the week before that on TikTok. And I saw this bubble gun toy that looked really cool. And my daughter, who turned 7, loves bubbles. So it's this cheap gun that has a fan built into it. So immediately I got on Amazon and paid $40 for this cheap little plastic gun. But she loves it. So
So you
that,
just load it up with bubbles and just automatic, just shoots out a crap
yeah.
load of bubbles.
I mean, it's very basic. You dip it in this tray, and it has like 40 holes on the front of it where the bubbles come out of, and then there's a fan that blows the bubbles out. But it'll pump out like 500 bubbles pretty quickly.
I mean, who doesn't love bubbles,
Right. Yeah.
right? Okay. That's a good buy. That's a good buy. It's for your daughter, so, I mean, good purchase,
Totally
right?
worth it. Yep.
As long as she was happy. All
Yeah.
right. Cool.
Absolutely.
All right. So we'll get into talking a little bit about Hostetler Family Homes and what you guys have been up to. But what have you been up to lately, just personal wise, recent pet projects, something other than building homes? What's the day in the life of Josh Hostetler right now?
Yeah. I do a lot of stuff in the community, probably overextend myself a bit, but one of the main things I'm involved in is I'm on Coventry Local Schools School Board. I was elected for my second term last year. So I spent a lot of time working on that. I mean, it's one meeting a month, but a lot of other things involved in that as well. So I like to stay involved in my kids' school.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So does that take up a lot of your time, or is that just something sparingly you got to do? You got some responsibilities there.
It varies month to month. So sometimes we had a special meeting last night to discuss some issues and programs we're trying to roll out. last year and the years before that, it took up a lot of time because Coventry Local School District was actually in fiscal emergency. Basically, our finances were run by the state of Ohio for quite a while because it's just been very difficult for them. But so we had a lot of work to get out of fiscal emergency, which we did finally get out of last year. So we have control of our finances again, and we can actually do some cool stuff. And we're not in the red anymore. We actually have a little bit of money sitting in a rainy day fund, which is good.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Good. Now, how many kids do you have again?
I have 2 kids. I have a daughter, Ellie. She's 7, and my son Lucas is 8.
I have a daughter named Ella. We call her Ellie all the time, though. It's like kind of her nickname. So cool. Yeah, I've got 2 of my own. I've got a 9-year-old girl and 7-year-old boy. So
Great.
we're kind of in that same boat. So I think we both know how busy things can get, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about you and kind of your background, your education, maybe some first jobs, everything that's kind of leading up to where you are today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm a local guy. I went to Lake High School in Hartville. Live in the Portage Lakes now, but that's not that far away. After I graduated from Lake, I actually went down to Ohio State. I had the intention of going into music education, so I was going to be a music teacher. I was always involved in music, played guitar, saxophone, drums, piano a little bit, loved music. But when I got down to Ohio State, I started thinking about it a bit more and didn't have a lot of experience teaching kids at that time or interacting with little kids. And I wanted the opportunity to make a little bit more money. So
Sure.
I love teachers, but it's a hard road to take. So I switched to business. I majored in business and specifically real estate and urban analysis. So by the time I approached graduation, I had already decided to go into the family business at that point. Graduated in 2005, and immediately after graduation, me and 2 of my best friends got on a plane and went over to Europe and backpacked around for 3 months. It's just one of those
Very
things
cool.
that we decided we wanted to do, and we worked hard and saved up our money and thought we're not going to have a chance to do this again until we retire, so let's do it now. So that was a good experience, and then I came back and started working with Hostetler Family Homes, the family company that my dad started with my grandpa. And that was, again, 2005, and I worked with the company through the recession, really. And when the recession really took hold, it was around the time I was getting married and starting to build a family, and I was concerned about the stability of the whole industry. So I went and got my MBA. I left the company, went and got my master's in business administration, and started working in corporate finance. Just for the stability. I liked the work. But yeah, I worked at the Timken Company. I was a manager of financial systems, and my last role was with Babcock and Wilcox. I was a director of finance there that reported directly to the CFO.
Okay, so you actually did start with Hostetler after college,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of joining the family business. What were you doing at that point? Because obviously you didn't own the company.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad, your grandpa, was still running the show there. What were you doing at that point?
Yeah, so at that point, my grandpa actually passed in the 90s, so it was my dad running the show. But at that point, I was doing sales, so meeting with customers and design work, as well as managing some of the financials at that point. So I actually learned over time, taught myself how to work in CAD and do home designs, which is something I always enjoyed. I always had that creative bend, which is why I loved music so much, and designing homes gives me that fulfillment there too. Yeah.
Yeah. So how long were you away when you were in the corporate world?
Yeah, so around 2010 is when I went back and got my MBA, and I jumped right into it. I was there full time, so I knocked it out in 2 years, and I was working for a company doing corporate finance during my MBA as well. But I decided to come back in the company in 2018, left corporate America.
2018.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nice. So kind of what led you to kind of coming back or rejoining the company? What was that transition like from the corporate world to coming back and being on your own in that sense?
Yeah, so I always had hopes of coming back into the industry, to be honest with you. But 2018, I was talking with my dad, and he actually had been winding down the company at that point. He was planning to shut the doors and retire. So when I came back in, it was pretty much a shell. I mean, I inherited a lot of good stuff, great relationships with vendors, great reputation in the community, but like zero sales, zero prospects. Um, so it was a tough row to hoe there for a while. But I made the decision to come back because I looked at statistics. Working in finance, I'm a numbers guy. So
Right.
I said, looking over since the recession until 2018, we haven't built enough houses. We haven't built close to enough houses. We are going to have a massive housing shortage. So I saw this tsunami coming, and I'm like, this is my chance, to get back into it, get into something where I feel like I have control of my day to day, and where I feel like I'm actually making a difference in the community and the lives of our customers and their families instead of just always working to maximize shareholder value and working to keep the board of directors of a big company happy. Now I'm working with this individual couple or family to build the home of their dreams.
I would imagine that's a lot more fulfilling
Yeah,
for
absolutely. It's a
you.
lot more
Yeah.
fulfilling for sure. Yeah, I love it. Not to say it doesn't come with its own set of challenges, but it is fantastic. Yeah.
Sure. So there's obviously probably tons of challenges with coming in and taking over the business. What was the most difficult thing about that? I know you mentioned kind of rebuilding that pipeline and getting, fresh prospects and sales and building more houses, but anything else, or was that kind of the biggest challenge or hurdle to get over for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was really just scaling. Like I said, when I came back, it was literally just my dad. He had somebody that was coming in once a week to help him keep the books, the financials. But we started with nothing, so we had no employees, which was good because we didn't really have any revenue to support them anyways. But scaling up and just grinding to sell enough homes in order to afford the right people to build our team. And that was a challenge to build and decide. At first I'm HR, I'm finance, I'm design, I'm sales, I'm accounts payable, everything.
Right.
Um,
You got
so
to wear
we
all those hats, right?
Yeah, and when I decide, okay, we have enough going on where we need to bring somebody in. What hats do I take off? What do I give up? What's the right move to make? And just kind of scaling in chunks like that. And now, we have four employees. We have good systems behind us, and feel like we're well on our way to being a well-oiled machine.
Now you mentioned scalability and systems and hiring and all those things. Is there anything, besides those things specifically that you did to make sort of your services scalable? Um, Anything that would come to mind there?
Yeah, scalability of services. As a home builder, at least in Ohio, most of what we do building homes is subcontracted out to other crews. So I'm not out there swinging a hammer, but we do have great relationships with crews that we have built over time that we know do fantastic work. But as a home builder, since we're used to that subcontracting mentality, I'm taking that subcontracting mentality and saying, why can't we subcontract some of our other things like marketing? I'm not good at marketing. I kind of know what I want to say, I think. I definitely know our product, but I don't know SEO. I can't design a website. I tried, but then I gave up. So let's subcontract some of that stuff out, and by subcontracting out, we're getting that good pricing structure, but it makes it scalable because I can say, hey Tom, let's increase our ad budget. Things are starting to slow down, pipeline's drying up. Let's increase our ad budget, or we intend to grow by this much next year. What can we do to get there without me spending weeks working on it myself? And I'm taking
Right.
that approach in a lot of areas, marketing, even a little bit of finance. So I think that helps with scalability.
Yeah, finding what you do really well and kind of outsourcing or letting some other folks, from a delegation standpoint, take over some of those roles.
Sure.
And we're, again, super happy to work with you on the marketing front. So everything going good there. So
Yeah, yeah.
as far as you know, kind of that overview of Hostetler Family Homes, let's take a step back because I don't think we talked about some of the history, and I think that's important to note. Your grandfather and your father started this company. Now you're here, so it's that kind of local family-owned business. But how long have you guys been around?
So the company was founded in 1983. So we're getting real close to 40 years now. But the company looked a lot.
Congratulations,
Thank you, thank you. We'll have to do some marketing around that next
for
year.
sure.
But the company looked a lot different when it started. So it was my dad and my grandfather, and they were running framing crews, rough framing. These were the guys that went out and built the rough structure of your home before we put all the nice finishes and systems in it. And they were doing up to a couple hundred houses a year doing framing. And then at some point they started working in, well, why don't we do one full home a year, two full homes a year, and then they kind of got those under their belt and started scaling. And my dad really took the reins in the 90s and went full time into custom home building and got away from the manual labor side and the framing carpentry. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So for you, um, transitioning from father to son, a new generation of ownership. Um, how did you take it from where it was and kind of bring it to where it is now?
Yeah, so when I came back in, my dad and I had an agreement where I actually financed the model home. He was going to hang around and help out and be kind of an advisor to us as we built the company. Not to say there wasn't a little bit of friction along the way. Somebody runs a company for 38 years. It's kind of hard to give up those reins and give up control. So we had some growing pains there. But at this point, he's in the office occasionally, but he likes to work on his classic cars and enjoy his retirement. So I'm happy for him. But yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Now, you mentioned kind of growing that pipeline or growing that client base. Um, what's been your process so far the past few years? Just I know the home market has been kind of crazy as far as um, interest rates being down. How existing houses are selling for well over market value. Building is probably still kind of expensive in that sense. Like growing your client base. I know there's just a lot of people and there's a lot of folks moving into town. Kind of what's been that process for you with just really building that pipeline, other than some of the marketing stuff we're doing now, but just kind of give me that sales and marketing approach.
Yeah, I mean, at first it was take whatever you can get, whatever comes towards you, just run at it full force. And if it's take on an addition or a customer that wants to do a little bit of work here and there, didn't really have the opportunity of targeting our customers so much. So it was just take whatever you can. And that's what we had to do to get revenue flowing again, start building up the business. Then from there, a couple years ago, we had a decent website set up. It was actually set up through our project management company, Builder Trend Construction Management program that we use. And on there, it had a little contact us form. So we started to see a lot more of our leads come in through our website. So they did a little analysis and did kind of SEO analysis and told us what words we should be putting on the site and things to drive more traffic. So that was a decent chunk of our leads for quite a while, and then we started to build up a referral base too. I mean, after you're building up the business for a couple of years, then you get those clients that come to you and say, "Hey, so and so said I should give you a call." So that's been really good for us as well. But we have big plans to scale up responsibly. And in order to do so, we're just going to leverage as much digital marketing and media as we can to target the customers that fit our business model the best.
Sure. So you guys are really taking that inbound approach. Is if someone's looking for a home builder in the area, you want them to find your site. You want to educate them and provide as much information through the site as you can, without being too salesy, too pushy, and let them kind of make those decisions on their own. Give them the tools to decide, is this a builder I want to work with or not. So how has that been going for you? Are you getting a fair amount of leads from folks just finding you on the web, or is it still mostly referral?
We're getting a fair amount of leads from the website. We have noticed a little bit of a slowdown, which is what I expected. Actually, I expect it to slow down because interest rates are going up and prices are going up, and there's just no land available around here. And if land is available, it's
It's
crazy expensive.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that's why I made the decision to engage with Sanctuary, because I knew if we want to reach our growth goals and get the customers that we will work well with, we have to be able to target, and we have to be able to spend money to do so, and engage a professional that knows what they're doing. But yeah,
Right.
as you were saying, our website, we have a little bit of work to do there still, but it does help to qualify our customers right out of the gate, for sure.
Now, I would imagine your sales cycle is pretty long. Um, what does that process look like for a potential home buyer or someone that's looking to build a home? How do you eventually get to that buying decision or an eventual yes? Like, how long does that take? What's the nurturing process look like for someone for that long? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it can take a while. I mean, we'll get customers that come to us, initial contact, and they're like, "Hey, we're ready to start next week." And I'm like, "Guys, there's a lot that goes on, and I'm not even. We have to talk and see if we're going to be a good fit to work together." But from the initial contact to the time that we break ground on your home, could be 6 months or longer. We have the initial qualifying and discussions. Let's talk about your budget. What do you want to spend, and do we think that we can provide you a good quality product for that budget? And then from there, we usually enter into a professional services agreement where we will do design work, help coordinate designs of the home for them, work on selections, do full materials estimates, takeoffs, and get to a point where they're comfortable with the home design. We're comfortable with what we think it's going to cost to build, and we're communicating with them back and forth throughout the entire process. So by the time we get to the point where they are ready to sign on the dotted line at the closing table, there's no pressure. They should know exactly what to expect. At that point, it's just a formality. And I think that's really the professional way to do it. And frankly, I think professionalism historically in our industry has been a little bit lacking. So that's the approach that I take. I'm taking that more structured design from corporate America and bring it into our business. But we are not high pressure sales. We are strictly let's go through this process together and build the project.
What's that? I mean, you kind of alluded a little bit towards that onboarding process, but is there more to that onboarding process? Like once they sign and it's like, let's get things fired up.
Mm-hmm.
What's that look like?
Yeah, again, that's a long process as well. So even once we get to the point where we're signing the full home specifications, then they have to go to their bank and get financing. So that involves an appraisal, all sorts of paperwork. That can take 45 days. And then, once they get financing secured, we'll start pulling permits, and then we have meetings. We have a pre-construction meeting where we will sit down with them, review the plans. I'll introduce them to my project manager who's going to be building the home for them. And the main point of contact and communication for them throughout the process. And then we do a deep dive into our construction management program, which is primarily how they will communicate. So we do on their what's called the daily logs, where our site supervisor will go out, take pictures of what's happening on the site, on the home site, a couple days a week, and post this is what's going on. They have a full schedule they can view in there, Gantt chart style, where they can see, oh, this week the foundation's being built, or maybe they have a look at the construction. They have a question, so they can send us a message through that system as well. That's really our structure for the build process is in that project management program, and we do a pretty deep dive of that in our pre-construction meeting.
Okay. So some pretty. It sounds like you got some pretty strong systems and processes in place. Are those all relatively new since you've been in there, or are those kind of historically been carried through?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all new. Brought those on in 2019. Before that, it was pencil and paper and text and phone calls and just a plethora of communication that was impossible to follow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So for anyone out there who might be interested in building, do you have any just kind of general or even specific advice about, um, some major things you'd recommend, or is every client different? Just kind of tell me, um, if this is a place for somebody looking to build, what advice would you give them? Free advice would you give them without them having to reach out to you?
Yeah. Don't always focus on the lowest price, for sure. And you have to be comfortable with your builder. This is a relationship, right? We're going to be working together for a minimum of 8 to 12 months in pretty frequent communication. You have to be able to trust them, know that they have integrity, that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. So that's always good advice. And so many customers come to us and say, well, the qualifying question is, what's your price per square foot? Because I know builder B over here is building a home for this price per square foot. So I say, I don't know, what was the cost per pound of your car?
Yeah.
And, are you driving a 1980 Dodge Shadow with crank down windows, or are you driving a Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon? I mean, it's very different. So let's get away from that conversation, because if you put quartz countertops in there, it's going to be a lot more expensive than an entry-level granite. And instead of saying, what's the price per square foot, let's spend some time together, invest a little bit of money in designing your home, and then I can tell you exactly what it's going to cost. And it's either a go or no go at that point. I'd also say there's a procedure in building, custom home building, where builders use what's called allowances, and we do as well. But the allowances are, we say, okay, customer, you can go pick out your light fixtures and you have X dollars to spend. It's a budget. Be very leery if you're out shopping builders of what those allowances are, because that's how some builders will get their initial price down really low, and then you spend more money on the back end.
Because there's no allowance, like the allowance is so low that, oh, I can't get even 5 light fixtures that I actually like or want,
Yeah.
because it's so, yeah.
Yeah, or you get just very basic, what we call builder grade,
Grade.
like cardboard cabinets. It's kind of crazy. But so find a builder that has a professional process, that is gonna, go on this journey with you, make all the selections, and price out your home so you know exactly what to expect.
That's good advice. I'll take that to heart. Maybe I'll consider building in the future. And I'll
Let's
definitely
talk.
give you a call, Josh.
Let's talk.
Let's talk. All right, we'll talk after this. Some of your goals for Hostetler in the future. I mean, you in the driver's seat, relatively new, and you seem relatively young as well. So, what's the future look like for Hostetler in your eyes?
Yeah, so we have some pretty aggressive goals. I follow the traction model in the EOS, if you're familiar with that.
So do we.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? That's so funny. Hold on. Swear to God, this wasn't planted here.
I think, yeah, oh yeah. For those that
the
are
one?
able to see video, I have it on my back shelf behind me there.
Oh, you do?
Um,
How weird is this?
yeah, that's crazy.
Okay.
Great book.
It's no wonder we work together. This is
Yeah.
okay. Now it's all making sense now, Josh.
Yeah, so you asked me
Go
about
ahead.
you asked me about my goals. I can tell you exactly. So, in 3 years, 2025, we're going to double in size. We have a very defined set of core values that we follow. We have 1 year goals that are set on sales and customers, average project size, and I'll just tell you our average project size, because I'm sure that would be a question people would be curious about. We target homes between 350,000 and 650,000. We have some outliers that go up to $1 million, a little bit that are less than 350. But that's kind of our target market, target customer for us would be, we get a lot of empty nesters that we work very well with, people that are looking to right size their home with quality construction and some nice custom finishes and floor plans. So we work really well with those folks. But yeah, double in size by 2025. Looking out 10 years, we have some aggressive goals there too. But I want to be functioning like a well-oiled machine where I can step out a bit and spend some more time working on the business, doing hopefully some more podcasts, social media, videos, things like that that are fun to do, and just telling the world about Hostetler Family Homes, and getting the message out there.
Any other personal endeavors that would kind of follow suit with that?
The goal for us, we always think it would be nice to have a vacation home. That's a pretty aggressive goal, but that would be something that we're really hoping to do in the next few years.
You might be able to save a little money on it if you build it yourself, right?
Maybe.
Maybe? Okay.
Yeah, so we'd love to do that, and even use that as a perk for our employees too. If we can have a home that's on the beach somewhere, and we can say, hey, project manager, why don't you take your family down there for a week? You've been working hard.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Let me know when you do that, and let me know if you're hiring at that point. All right. Well, hey, Josh, I appreciate you spending some time with us. Let people know how they can connect with you in case anybody out there listening needs some business advice, because you seem like you got your stuff together, or might be interested in building a house. How can people reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are on Facebook, Hostetler Family Homes. Our website, HostetlerFamilyHomes.com. It's spelled Hostetler, familyhomes.com. You're welcome to shoot me an email, josh@hostetlerfamilyhomes.com. Happy to talk.
Awesome. Well, hey, I hope you had fun. Hopefully our audience gathered something from this today, and I always enjoyed talking to you. So we'll be in touch, Josh, and have a good weekend, all right?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I had a great time. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Best of luck with everything, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.